The Seismic 7, Chapter 23, Part 1. What is she doing? Someone shouts above ground. Get her out of there! She's just a child. I realized too late the flaw in our plan. After all we've done, we're still kids to the people helping us. The firefighters, the park rangers, they'll never let us do what needs to be done. No, I whisper. The cable I'm holding sways suddenly, jerking me to a stop. My headlamp dances along the wall, and I look up, prepared to argue as loud and obnoxiously as necessary. But I don't need to. You'll have to get past me, I hear Raquel say. I see her dangling on the cable inside the tunnel. The more I move down, the lower she sinks with me. And me, I hear Wyatt next, and the cable goes even lighter. Guys, I call up, what are you doing? Buying you time, Wyatt shouts, dangling above Raquel. They drop the hose down to me and I grab it. My heart swells. They're blocking the tunnel. I wait in desperate hope for another body to jump in because it would have to be Kinsey, and that would mean she was okay. Bree, I won't leave until you're out, Raquel promises me. So you'd better come back, okay? I'll try, I say, but if I don't say that. If I don't, I want you to get out, Raquel, I shout up at her. Bree! But then there's a massive explosion and the cable goes slack. I drop down the vertical part of the tunnel at super speed, dragging the hose with me. Looking up, I can see the tunnel entrance cloud over with smoke and I scream, Wyatt! Raquel! They don't answer. Oh no. Oh goodness, no. The truck must have blown up. If Kinsey was still on it, then... I can't think about it. Fear grips me as fast as the bedrock flies past me. A jagged edge juts out. I nearly slam into it, just managing to maneuver out of the way in time. Now I find myself glancing around wildly. That shouldn't be there. The drills make things smooth down our tunnels, not bumpy. Shoot. Dr. Greer was right. All the quakes have shifted things down here. I tense up, clutching the hose and cable. This was already a dangerous plan. When I turn this hose on, the water will hit the super hot end of this tunnel and immediately turn to steam. That will trigger a massive explosion as the water vapor expands out, which should allow for the water still gushing from the hose to breach the magma tunnel and start solidifying it. But I have no idea if we can get out in time. And with the tunnel even less stable than before, is this all worth it? I realize in sick horror that I don't know. I can't know. If I go through with this, I might be sacrificing all our lives, and I'm definitely sacrificing Yellowstone Lake. By numbers, that's more than a fair trade, even if it makes me feel ill. But trading lives for lives was McNamara and Greer's logic too, just on a bigger scale. It's exactly what McNamara was talking about. It's what Aunt Pauline and I focused on in our documentary last year. Regrowth after destruction. The ground shakes around me and I squeal. After a few terrifying seconds, it stops. I dangle there, not daring to move. Above me, I can hear Wyatt and Raquel shout. Small relief for the moment they're okay, though that moment may soon be over. If I go through with this, is this really the right thing to do? I think it is. I can hear my friends reassuring each other from hundreds of yards above me, their voices echoing. They chose to jump in here and help. To them, this was the right choice. This doesn't feel right to me, though. It feels terrifying. But I guess when it comes down to it, what I feel isn't what matters. After all, my feelings have been wrong before. Very wrong. I take a deep breath and then continue to lower myself in the tunnel. No, this doesn't feel right at all. But I know it is right. Just before the tunnel makes its horizontal turn, I find red markings all over the walls. They're notes from Wyatt, written in lipstick? I laugh, smacking my head. Of course! That overly dramatic hug Kinsey gave him, she must have slipped him her tube of lipstick. I read through the notes, which mark how much farther a person should go to lock in the hose to get it close enough to the magma for its job, while keeping enough distance for the person to conceivably get away in time. I wonder if he did all of this while waiting to be saved. Maybe he figured he wouldn't be and was leaving these notes for whoever took his place. They're excellent notes, but Wyatt didn't calculate there being more than one person needing to escape the tunnel, nor did he calculate the risk of groundwater releases from earthquake activity, and he certainly didn't account for the fact that the lake water was already going to be heated to scalding temperatures. I'm going to need to make my own decisions about all of that. Pause, trembling, even though I know this is no time to freeze up. Okay, I whisper to an imaginary audience, this is it. I have to figure out how to hook up this hose as safely as possible. No big deal, right? I read through Wyatt's notes, wishing desperately that I had Earthbuilder in front of me so I could test my ideas. I wonder what the supervolcano or what the superhero version of myself would do here. I think about the drawings Todd and I made back in our cabin all those weeks ago, and tears pinch my eyes. What we need is more time, I say. Pulling myself together, I tap the edge of the hose against the rocky wall, watching the way the shadows play. The metal edging of it makes a satisfying clunking sound every time it hits the rock, and a way to trigger the hose from a distance. I stare at the metal edging where the lever is located to release the water. Then I'll look at the cable I'm holding. My thoughts start to spin into something tangible. Scary, but tangible. I might have an idea. The barest hint of courage re-enters my trembling soul. If it works, you may never see me again. Though, viewers, so thanks for watching. My body tingles, knowing just how close I am now to the passageway of magma rising up to the surface. It's incredibly warm in here. The last of Wyatt's lipstick notes have melted into thin goo. I'm flat on my stomach in the newest and most horizontal section of this tunnel. Sweat pours off my head, and I launch the hose into the narrow end of the tunnel, packing it in tight with the bits of rubble I find. The rock is so hot it almost burns my hands. Once I'm satisfied that it's in there, well enough, I turn around in a small side passage that Wyatt must have dug. Either on purpose or by accident, I don't know. I begin my crawl back up the dark tunnel, wincing as my arms scrape on the rock and doing my best not to bump either the hose or cable. I've tied the cable to the hose's lever. The moment someone pulls up on it, the water will release. I just have to hope people wait to tug on it until I'm back in the vertical tunnel, ready to be hauled out, and that whoever is pulling me out can do it quickly. In addition to the lever getting pulled, the hose will be yanked backward up the tunnel the more someone tugs on the cable. But if I did the math right, it shouldn't matter. The water will flood the tunnel at a rate that will make it okay for the hose to be positioned at any point along the path after the initial blast. After many, many more grueling minutes of crawling, I can see the vertical turn ahead. Every muscle in my body aches and my forearms won't stop bleeding. Just a little farther. Then the ground begins to shake. After all we've been through, I'm more than used to that sensation below my feet, but feeling it above my horizontal body is entirely different. I shriek. Can't help it. My entire world is in motion, rumbling and rolling. I expect to be crushed at any moment. The shaking gets worse. My body is thrown up and down now, slamming into the top and the bottom of the tunnel on repeat. Hose bouncing up and down next to me. I want to cover my head, but instead I grab for the cable. If I'm going to die, I at least need to release the water before the end. But the moment my hand grips the cable, I'm jerked forward. Someone is pulling me out. I scream again, clutching at the cable with both hands now, my entire body scraping along the rock. My headlamp bounces light in front of me. I'm nearing the tunnel turn. I hit it. My back slams into the top of the tunnel as I'm pulled upright. Stars burst in front of me. The pain is blinding. Whoever thinks they're saving me has no idea how close they just came to paralyzing me for life. I sob openly, flying upward, jerked unevenly every other moment. Then, another quake. No, an explosion. My sobs stop, horror overtaking me. If the cable's been pulled, that means the water was released. Oh no, I croak. The ground ripples in all directions, tearing itself apart. There's an ungodly deep rumble, like a giant fighting to break free of the bedrock. The tunnel cracks around me and my eardrums vibrate so hard I'm sure they'll rupture. Chunks of falling rock rain down as I'm dragged up. I can't shield my head or risk letting go of the cable. All I can do is hunch up and hope. My shoulders and back get hit over and over, and my side scrapes up against the hose. One chunk of rock hits the top of my head, and I see stars once again. They dance and prickle in my eyes, which I have squeezed shut. My knuckles are bleeding, my hands clutching the rising cable. I can feel heat below me. A wave of steam washes over me in one massive blast. My skin screams, burning. But as quickly as the steam hits, it's gone. Instead, I hear a bubbling, popping noise, shaking uncontrollably. I open one eye and look down. I see my feet on either side of the hose. I see the walls of the tunnel zipping past me, and I see water rising. Hurry! I scream up at whoever is pulling me out of here, having no idea if they can hear me. There's light above. Somewhere in my mind, I register that means my friends have made it out of the tunnel. But then the edges of the tunnel exits start to crumble. Another batch of rock shakes loose and falls toward me. There are so many. They start to pile up on my shoulders, my back, wedging me into the tunnel and burying me alive. I close my eyes again. I was so close, so close. Bree! My eyes snap open. A hand lands on mine, pulling my grip off the cable and yanking me upward through the rubble and back onto the ground above. It's Raquel. She grips my hand and won't let go even as I lay safely on the dirt. She's out, someone yells. Let's move. A head swims. Bree! I can hear Wyatt say. She's alive, Nolan exclaims. Raquel, she's alive. Raquel collapses next to me, still clutching my hand and physically shaking. Look, guys, look, Wyatt says next. The eruption, it's shrinking. I want to look. I want to see. I want to believe what we just did really is working. But the world spins around me, and anything farther than 3 feet away might as well be in another dimension.